Hey everybody, Peter Zion here, coming to you from Morrison, Colorado. I wanted to walk everybody through what I look at when I'm looking at coronavirus statistics and give you an idea of what's coming up in the next few weeks. Now, this is one of my favorite sources. This is the COVID Tracking Project, and they aggregate data from the United States nationwide going down to the county level, actually, and sometimes specific hospital levels. The information is free, that you can follow them on Twitter, COVID Tracking Project. By far, they are the best out there, far better than any of the government sources. They break it into four categories. First, on the left, you've got original daily tests of people who are actually testing for the virus themselves. Second, the number of people who have come back with positive results. Third, the number of people who are in hospital, no matter how many days they've been there. And then finally, the number of people who have passed per day because of the virus or virus complications. Now, if you remember back to the first phase of the epidemic back in April, when it was largely limited to the greater New York City area and the Northeast corridor, we actually had significantly fewer new cases than we have today. Now, part of that might have been a lack of testing, but really the virus hadn't spread far and wide yet. And it gave us this hospitalization figure, which was very high. And unlike the cases, which might have been underreported, the hospital visits obviously were fully reported because there were people in beds. And you'll notice how high that is, and it generated a really high death rate. This is because the virus was new. We didn't have best practices yet. We didn't know how to struggle with and deal with what the virus was giving us. And what happened in New York specifically was something really interesting. They ran out of ventilators. And when they ran out of ventilators to put people on, people were more likely to live. Once you go on to life support, your chances of coming off of it are usually only about 50%. And so they just gave people supplemental oxygen, and those people were able to better pull through. So when we got to our second phase, when it was no longer the Northeast corridor, when it was nationwide, and especially when it was the South and Texas and Florida and California, we actually had over twice as many cases as we did during the first peak, but we had the same number of hospitalizations because people weren't in the hospital on ventilators, on life support for weeks at a time. They would go in, they would need help, and they would need oxygen, but they would usually be able to check out within a few days. And as a result, the death rate was a lot lower. So we had twice as many cases, but the same number of hospitalizations, 1/2 in per capita terms, and 1/4 in per capita terms, the number of deaths. So we have gotten significantly better at dealing with this. We're now starting our third wave. And in many ways, this one is better and it's worse. Most of the people who have gotten ill in this third wave are much younger, especially college kids, because universities across the country have done an awful job of educating, of segregating, of dealing with people who are positive. I mean, a lot of universities just sent them home so they could spread the virus further. The abdication of responsibility from the university system really is breathtaking. And now we're on the verge of the holidays. A lot of universities have decided it's been such a disaster, they're just going to close down at Thanksgiving, and either they're going to finish tests before or everything will be online after. And the kids will just be sent home to spread the virus. So this third phase in terms of numbers is likely to be a lot higher. The question is whether or not it will follow the patterns of the first two waves in terms of a general improvement, and it's just too soon to tell. Hospitalizations are up already, and they will continue to rise because the slope for that left green arrow is going to be very, very sharp, especially once we get to Thanksgiving. And we would expect hospitalizations followed by deaths to spike in the days after. We do have new treatments. We have learned more. The virus is more spread out, which makes it easier for the health system to adapt. It's not like it's all concentrated in Boston or something. But we do face another wave. Now, if the goal is to ultimately get out of all of this, this is the category that we have to figure out how to reduce. There's no easy way to do that. I mean, masks help, social distancing help. Everyone should always be doing that in the environment that we're in right now. But what we ultimately need is a faster treatment system that allows people's immune systems to have a better chance of dealing with this, that pumps them full of oxygen and then gets them on their way. If we can do that, then we can live with coronavirus. We've proven that as a country we can't eradicate it. We're just not very good at that. But if we can develop a series of treatment options that are quick and preferably cheap, that can be applied by your general practitioner doctors, that is what will allow us to proceed for the months and even years in the future, dealing with in a way where we can actually start the economy to regenerate. Now, we don't have those treatments yet. There are many that are under development. Hopefully, we'll see some meaningful outcomes from that by the first of the year. But for this third wave, we are dealing with the mechanics that we know now. On a slightly cheerier topic, as part of Amazon Prime Day, Disunited Nations is now available in Kindle format for only $3. So either go to Amazon Direct or use that top link to get to the purchase page. As you know, on Kindle, oftentimes the maps don't come through clearly. So that second link will take you directly to the full map archive. Feel free to use and distribute them as you see fit. And of course, there will always be more information on all things, whether video or more traditional newsletters at Zion.com/newsletter. Sign up, it's free, it will always be free. Until next time.